Would you rather use your points for more travel or nicer travel? Most of our videos on this channel are about how to stretch your points to fly in business class and get a high mathematical redemption value. But what if that's not what you care about? What if you just need to get from point A to point B on a specific date as fast as possible? Then what is the best point strategy for you if the economy class is going to land at the same time as the business class part of the plane? Would it be to cash out your points and just pay for the flight? Should you purchase points? Are there any sweet spot redemptions to be had? That's what we're covering in today's video. So let's dive right in. In most of the videos that we do on this channel, we are optimizing for the most luxurious flight experiences and hotel experiences, or we're optimizing for value that you get out of your points, usually in the ratio of cents per point. But today we are going to optimize for something else. If you are the kind of traveler who optimizes for the most affordable option, where you're like, I would like to get more travel instead of more luxurious travel. I don't really care about economy versus business class. We're all gonna get there at the same time. I just need to get from point A to point B for as few dollars and points as possible. This video is for you. So the example that we're going to go through in this video and the different techniques for how to book it is going to be from Las Vegas to Hong Kong on January 28th. We're going to say it's just one person traveling one way just to simplify everything. If you're very flexible on what date you're flying, you can obviously save a lot more money, but let's say that the person for today's video does not have flexibility and they need to fly on exactly January 28th. Let's also say this person has a Chase Sapphire Preferred card and they're just getting into points and miles and they're just trying to figure out how to save on flights. What they'll probably do is log into the Chase portal and search for their exact route. They're going to see some different options like this from Las Vegas to Hong Kong on January 28th. Let's say they like this flight option. It's 18.5 hours. Basic economy is $500. So they could spend 39,840 points to do this. That is probably base case if somebody has points, how they're thinking about playing the game, where they think, all right, it's a $498 flight. I can get a little bit of a discount off of that by going through the Chase portal and cashing out my Chase points. If I have the Chase Sapphire Preferred, I get 1.25 cents per point. If I'm using a Chase Sapphire Reserve, it's 1.5 cents per point. So as we go through today's video, I'm going to walk through some different ways to optimize for affordability. So this is the option that we just covered, where they're booking through the Chase portal. They're going from Las Vegas through Los Angeles into Hong Kong. It's going to take about 18 hours and 25 minutes, and it will cost 39,840 points if they just cash it out in the Chase portal. That means the relative value of this flight would be $490, because if you're cashing out 39,840 points at 1.25 cents per point, math says that's 490. So what are some other options? Well, let's say that you just use Google Flights instead, where you're like, should I use points? Should I use money? Let's see. All you would do is go to Google Flights, search for one person in economy from Las Vegas over to Hong Kong on January 28th, and then click on this tab that says cheapest, not the one that says best. And so here, this will show you that the best option is going to be from Las Vegas through Korea into Hong Kong for a total price of $490. Now again, we can debate on, is it nicer to fly Korean economy or United economy or Delta or Air Canada economy or any of those other flight product details. But for today's example, it's going to be a little bit apples to oranges because this imaginary person does not care. They just want the cheapest way to get to Hong Kong on a specific date. So here, the cheapest option is Las Vegas through Incheon into Hong Kong. It's $490, and the total flight duration is going to be 20 hours and 30 minutes. So we're going to log that right here, where it's just the purely cash option, not dealing with points at all. Interesting enough that these are two different routes, but the value of the points through the Chase portal, $490, is almost exactly the same as if we just paid for this flight out of money. Now, if you're a fan of Google Flights, I also recommend Googling PointsPath. We've had Julian, the founder of PointsPath, on the show before, and this is a free Chrome extension. So as you can see on my Google Flights page, how sometimes it'll say, oh, you could also get this for 47,000 United miles, or 45,000 Alaska miles, or 41,000 Delta miles. If you're wondering how I'm getting these numbers to pop up, that is all thanks to the PointsPath extension, so I would go ahead and check that out. at geobreezetravel.com/pointspath. So that takes care of this option right here, where if we're using PointsPath, then we're going to see that the best option is going to be this Delta one, which has the lowest number of points required. It's 41,600 Delta miles plus $13. The route here actually has 2 stops, so it's going to go from Las Vegas to Seattle, then to Korea, then to Hong Kong. The total duration for this is going to be 25 hours and 10 minutes, and it's going to cost 41,600 Delta miles plus $13 for a flight that would normally retail for $505. Delta miles I would value at about 1 cent per point. If you're doing okay, you're probably getting 1 cent per point. Oftentimes it can be worth even less than that. But let's say that this flight has a total opportunity cost value of $429. That's because you're spending 41.6 thousand Delta miles valued at 1 cent per point, plus $13 in taxes and fees. So far, PointsPath is beating out the Chase portal and also the cheapest result from Google Flights. So what's next? Well, there are lots of other tools other than PointsPath. One that you've seen me use on the site a lot is Seats.Aero, where if we wanted to search on the search tab from Las Vegas over to Hong Kong on January 28th and say we have no flexibility, we can deal with connecting flights since there's not going to be anything direct, whatever, for taxes and fees, one person, any cabin, click search, and then sort by the lowest economy flight. We can see there's this American Airlines flight from Las Vegas over to Hong Kong for 37.5 thousand points plus $5.60 in taxes and fees, where it would go from Las Vegas through Los Angeles into Hong Kong. Total duration is about 19 hours and 10 minutes for this flight. Now, I would say that the total valuation for this flight is a little bit higher. I would put it at $569, and that's because I would value American Airlines miles at about 1.5 cents per point. I think they're worth more than Delta, but you can't really cash them out that easily. But let's say you only value them at 1 cent per point, then this would be the better way to go, depending on how much you value those American Airlines miles, since it does have lower taxes versus the Delta option and also requires fewer points. It just depends on how much you value those points. But let's say that you don't currently have any points, but you kind of want to see should you play into the points game in order to book this. I like to check 1mileatatime.com/deals for any of those point sales. So right now, there are a few going on at the time that I'm recording this. You could buy United miles for 1.88 cents per mile. You could buy JetBlue for 1.47 cents per mile, or Alaska at 1.97 cents per mile. Are any of those useful? Probably not JetBlue, but let's check the other two. The way that you would check this is go to united.com. You're going to select one-way book with miles on the route that you want from Las Vegas to Hong Kong, on the date that you want, in economy, and then click find flights. Then you are going to sort by the lowest economy price. Here we see that it is Las Vegas through Los Angeles into Hong Kong for 47.3 thousand miles plus $5.60 in economy. Now, if you're buying United miles at 1.88 cents per mile, here's the math. Right here, this flight that we found on United, which goes from Las Vegas through Los Angeles into Hong Kong and has a total trip duration of 18 hours and 25 minutes. If we are purchasing the points required for that, that's about $895, which is more expensive than everything else we've seen so far. And the math behind that is the $5.60 in taxes and fees, plus the purchase price of 1.88 cents per mile, times the number of miles required. So United is not really helping us out here, but this other sale might. So here is the Alaska sale where you can buy points at 1.97 cents per mile. A little bit more expensive than United, but possibly fewer points required. So here we would go to alaskaair.com, search from Las Vegas to Hong Kong on 1-28, make sure you check box one way using miles, and then click find flights. And here, we're going to see it's 45,000 miles plus $19 in taxes and fees to fly Las Vegas through San Francisco into Hong Kong with a total trip duration of 20 hours. And this one would have a total valuation of $906, which is not a winner. Again, the math for that is going to be the $19 in taxes and fees plus 1.97 cents per mile times the 45,000 miles required. So we're not doing Alaska. At this point, you might be thinking, okay, so the best option is probably just to go through the Chase portal or to buy the flights on Google Flights for $490. However, it is worth mentioning that not all the points tools will capture all of the different results. If you are flying to Hong Kong, I highly recommend checking the Cathay Pacific site by hand outside of all of the search tools. Cathay Pacific results don't tend to get aggregated into PointsPath, PointMe, PointsYah, Seats.Aero, or any of the other tools. So what I would do is go to redeem flights, check from Las Vegas to Hong Kong one-way in economy on the date that you want to fly, and then click on redeem flights. And here we can see that you could fly in economy from Las Vegas through Los Angeles into Hong Kong for 20 hours and 10 minutes, and it's going to cost 40,000 points total in economy. You could also fly this for 89,000 points in business class. But again, in this video, we're not optimizing for the highest value per point. We're not optimizing for the nicest experience over the ocean, just what's the cheapest way to get there. If you want to fly in Cathay Pacific using points, you're going to need something other than Chase. Amex, Capital One, Citi, those all will transfer over to Cathay Pacific. If you're going to cash out your Amex points, you can do so with a Schwab card. You'll get about 1.1 cents per point there. So the valuation for this flight option is going to be $566. And that's because the taxes and fees on this flight with Cathay Pacific, when translated from Hong Kong dollars to US dollars, is about $125, plus 40,000 points valued at 1.1 cent per point if we're just looking at the cash out value. So if you want to fly direct from Las Vegas to Hong Kong without doing any positioning flights, and you have a specific date that you need to fly, the best option here is just to cash out your points through the Chase portal or to just buy the flight using money. But something that you can see through a lot of these different options is going to be that all of these have to cross through somewhere. Los Angeles, Korea, Seattle, San Francisco, there's no direct flights. So what I want to do next is a cost-benefit analysis of, is it better to position yourself to Los Angeles first once we add back in the monetary cost and the time of getting yourself from Las Vegas to Los Angeles? Is it going to be cheaper to just fly out of Las Vegas, or should you position to Los Angeles? That's coming up next. If you're enjoying this type of content, please let me know. Click the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe for even more points and miles tips every week. And if you'd like to get even more out of your points, come join our free live training by registering at geobreezetravel.com/webinar. This exclusive content is not recorded, it's just available for anybody who's able to join us live. Again, you can sign up at geobreezetravel.com/webinar. So if you're trying to optimize for affordability, it might be worth looking into flying out of Los Angeles instead of Las Vegas for this example. But is it actually cheaper once you take into account the cost and time to do that positioning flight? Let's take a look. All right, let's go ahead and see what the total price would be using these different methods if we wanted to do a positioning flight to Los Angeles first. So once again, we would just fill out our search terms in the Chase portal, one-way economy, one person from Los Angeles over to Hong Kong on January 28th, then go ahead and click search. And here we see that the lowest price is $444, and if we convert that into points, that's going to cost 35,454 points with the Chase Sapphire Preferred, because you're getting 1.25 cents per point. As we compare that, in the Chase portal, you are going to be flying from Los Angeles through Vancouver into Hong Kong. The total duration for the flight is going to be 19 hours and 40 minutes, and it's going to cost 35,454 points. With a valuation of 1.25 cents per point, that's like the flight cost about $443. I'm going to speed through a lot of these other ones since we showed how exactly to navigate the mechanics of the websites through the Las Vegas examples. But if you wanted to use Google Flights, Los Angeles to Hong Kong on January 28th, the cheapest price is going to be $514 from Los Angeles through Haneda, Japan, into Hong Kong. And the total duration for this would be long. It's 33 hours and 10 minutes. So we're going to add it to this line here. Los Angeles through Haneda into Hong Kong, 33 hours, 10 minutes, $514. So it looks like the Chase portal is winning out. Next, we're going to look at PointsPath. We're from Los Angeles to Hong Kong. It looks like the best points price that we can find is going to be with American Airlines, where it's 37.5 thousand points plus $6 in taxes and fees to get this flight that would normally retail for $804. But again, in this exercise, we're saying we don't even care what the retail price is going to be. we're comparing this nonstop flight from Los Angeles to Hong Kong for 37.5 thousand points against this 33-hour flight from Los Angeles through Japan into Hong Kong, which would only cost $514 because we're optimizing for affordability. So in PointsPath, if we say that the best option is going to be a direct flight from Los Angeles into Hong Kong, 16 hours and 15 minutes, $6 in taxes and fees, plus 37.5 thousand points, and we're valuing the American Airlines miles at about 1.5 cents per point, that means that this flight is valued at $569. A lot more expensive than what we're seeing with the Chase portal or Google Flights, but it is a direct flight. So it depends on how much you would value your time there, since it's almost half the duration time of that Google Flights cheapest option. But for this exercise, we're just optimizing for affordability. When I checked seats.aero, it was giving me the exact same option as what we found with PointsPath, where there's this direct Cathay Pacific flight that you can book through the American Airlines website. So the seats.aero line is going to look exactly identical to the PointsPath line, both valued at $569. Let's check the point sales. With United, remember, you could buy points on sale for 1.88 cents per point. And if you're to look up this route on United for the date that we need to fly here on January 28th, the cheapest option is 55,000 United miles plus $5.60. If we needed to buy all of those, this flight is not a winner. It's going to be valued at more than $1,000 because you are paying $5.60 for taxes plus 1.88 cents per mile times 55,000 miles. With Alaska, you can buy points at 1.97 cents per mile, and the cheapest economy flight here is going to be that direct flight from Los Angeles over to Hong Kong. It's $19 in taxes and fees plus 42.5 thousand miles. If we had to buy all of those with Alaska, that's going to be a total valuation of about $855. So once again, not a winner. Now let's check Cathay Pacific. There's a direct flight from Los Angeles over to Hong Kong, and it's only 27,000 points in economy. The taxes and fees on this are a little bit higher. It's $125, and then the points are 27,000 points for a direct flight. Let's say that you wanted to transfer Amex over to Cathay Pacific for this, and that you value your Amex points at only the cash out rate, which, if you have a Schwab card, is going to be 1.1 cents per point. That means the valuation of this flight is going to be $423. And we get that by adding the taxes and fees plus the number of points times our points valuation. So out of all of the options so far, transferring your Amex points to Cathay Pacific and booking that direct flight from Los Angeles over to Hong Kong is going to be your best valuation. However, you want to make sure you add in the time and the money that it would take to get from Las Vegas to Los Angeles. So you want to compare this $423 versus the $429 that we saw from PointsPath here, where you could book this with Delta. Can you get from Las Vegas to Los Angeles for $6? Probably not. But this is also a 25-hour flight versus a direct 16-hour flight plus positioning flight time. So if you want to optimize for affordability, it's also important to make sure that you have valuation set for how much you personally value your points. It doesn't have to be the 2 cents per point that people will recommend, the 5 cents per point that we usually get our clients, or the 7 to 10 cents per point that you often see influencers post. It doesn't have to be that high, but you should assign some kind of value to it where it's at least the cash out value. If you were to just give up on using points for travel, cash out all of your points, stick them into investments, that's totally cool too. Just make sure that you actually assign some value to them. Also assign some kind of value to your hours and your time, because if you can fly for 16 hours as a direct flight versus this 25-hour excursion that involves 2 stopovers, I do not think that those are apples to apples. So if you are wanting to optimize for affordability, also incorporate the value of your time in that. That number is going to vary drastically from person to person. Just make sure that you are taking all of that into account as you do these types of analyses to figure out what is the best flight decision for you. I hope you found this video useful. Let me know in the comments if there are any other topics that you would like to see for future content. In the meantime, if you liked this video, I think you'll like this video next.